So in 1952, a stockbroker comes to Coral Gables, Florida, lives his life, retires. 1981, starts dabbling in his Coral Gables backyard with a variety of fruit trees. Decides he's going to plant macadamia nuts and see what happens. Grows a bunch of them, gets one tree, and I don't know how long it took, but eventually that one tree started to produce macadamias, and he discovered not only that it was producing well, but that it also produced a macadamia with a hairline kind of crack in it that he called papershell. And that little macadamia was easy to break open by squeezing it or cracking it along that little fracture. And he called it the Arkin papershell. So right behind me here, we have an Arkin papershell that we can give credit to Mr. Morris Arkin, who was the developer of the tree. All right, so we have a couple of things going on here. We have the tree growing in a 25-gallon container, and we use a good potting mix, which is basically like a fruit tree mix that has some sand incorporated into it, has a little bit of pine bark, fine shredded pine bark, has peat moss and so on, and it's a well-draining mix. Now, a lot of people don't understand that macadamias do need a lot of water, but they also need to drain well, so they can't be sitting in a lot of water. That's definitely an important fact. The other thing is that, yes, they can grow and fruit in a 25-gallon container, and that's what this tree is. Now, this tree is probably, well, I know this tree originally was bought from a nursery I bought online from I believe it was a nursery somewhere in Central Florida, and it was only like less than a foot tall, and it was grown from a cutting, and it was labeled Arkin. And before I bought it, I contacted the nursery owner, and he says, yes, I grow them from cuttings. And I was very surprised to hear that you could grow them from cuttings. And over the years, I experimented myself and learned that, yes, I have been able to grow many of them from cuttings. But besides cuttings, you can also grow them from air layers. Well, let's get back to the soil and how to grow them. So what I do is, when they're young trees, I like to use something like an 1868. Gets them off to a really good start. It's a time-release product. I use one called Florican, which is a Florida branded product that's made in Florida, from my understanding. So Florican is an excellent time-release fertilizer with all essential nutrients, 1868. Now, one thing people don't know is that, well, a lot of people don't know, some people do, and they'll learn this from experience. You have nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and what you don't want to do for a macadamia tree is give them, if possible, any phosphorus, okay? Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Their roots do not need phosphorus. They do not need phosphorus. They have a very minimal need for phosphorus, and that is because in their native habitat in Australia, where they grow, the soil is very, very, very poor in phosphorus. So if you start giving a tree that doesn't like phosphorus, you're not going to get a very happy tree. Now, there is a couple of ways you can propagate macadamia trees. One of them might surprise you, okay? The first and the simplest method is to grow them from a seed. The next method is to air layer a branch from the tree, okay? So seedling grown, and you can air layer a branch. And we're going to show you what an air layer looks like in a minute, and I'll explain what that is. The other method is to do a graft. So a graft is to take a mature piece of wood called a scion from a mother plant that you absolutely want to propagate, and you combine those by grafting them and getting the wood to fuse together. Have you guys ever tried to grow a macadamia tree from a seed? Leave a comment, let me know if you were successful in growing them from a seed. But better yet, have you ever tried to grow them from a cutting, or have you ever air layered or grafted a macadamia tree? Leave a comment below. Now, you're looking at two things here. You're looking at the actual macadamias that are on the tree. All right, and those are pretty close to being ready. And then here we have one of the multiple air layers that are on the tree. And these air layers is one of the things we're going to explore today. We're going to open that up and take a look. My suspicion is that there might be just a little bit of roots, but not much. But we might get lucky and might see a lot of roots. So stick around towards the end when we do that, okay? Now, one of the other things that I noticed about this macadamia is that if you've ever been around macadamia trees, you'll see their leaves, and their leaves are loaded with little spines all along the sides here. Spines, spines, spines everywhere. And the Arkin variety does have those, but it has just a few, and they're kind of way down towards the back. Go way back here, you can feel some little spines, like right here where my thumb is, right here. I can feel a little tiny spine right there. And then on this leaf, it has nothing else. Yet these young leaves that you're looking at right here, you'll notice that we have a spine right there. We have some towards the back end, but the whole leaf itself is not covered in spines. Now, towards the front of the house, in the front yard, I have another variety that I don't really have too much information about where it came from, who developed it, and so on. But I believe that one is called Dana White. And you'll see that the leaves are different, and they have many, many more of these sharp little spines. So this is all new growth that's developed. And a lot of times this happens very quickly after you've done an air layer. You get a whole bunch of these that start to grow, all that fresh new growth. And as they begin to harden off, it's actually beneficial because these are the ones you want to use to create cuttings. Now let's jump over to the middle one over here. I'm going to get a ladder, I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to open that up, and let's see what we have, what kind of progress we have in terms of the air layer. All right, so I don't know, I'm a little worried here. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Hopefully when I was removing all of the wrap and the tape that was on here, I didn't twist it, but if I twisted it too much, I might have damaged it. But we're going to open it up and we're going to find out. You can see I have very little, if any, roots. I think you'll be able to see that right there. There's a little bit of roots, but this was done on February 19th and today's July 13th, and this needs more time. We're talking about we need a full 6-7 months before these roots are even ready at all. Now the air layer is nice and moist, the sphagnum is nice and moist, and everything does look pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully close this up and put it all back the way it was, and then leave it alone. And I think we're going to come back and look at this. I think we're going to come back and look at this in August. All right, so I wanted to give you another look at the tree from top to bottom. You can see the tree is pretty good sized tree. It's just about 10 feet. When the macadamias are actually ready to be harvested, they literally fall to the ground, and that's when they're ready to go. So this is the Dana White. Dana White macadamia. This was another tree that was, actually this one was purchased. No, actually no. This tree was given to me by a friend of mine, Bonnie, over on the West Coast. She air layered this tree, and it was a little tree. And like I said, I had it in a container and I didn't really take care of it much. I just kind of didn't pay a lot of attention for whatever reason. But guess what? It's doing pretty good. It's been in the ground now for a little over a year. And it's just started now to produce. And we've got a little bit of action here. Got a little bit of macadamias right there. But then I had pointed out to you guys that there was a difference in the leaves. If you look at these leaves here, this is all new growth. You can see the lots of spines all the way from the back, all along the side here. We have spines. Let's come around this side because I think the lighting is really, really crappy. I think from this way, the lighting will be much better. So here you can see the leaves better, and you can see what I'm talking about. Spine, 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 all along here. So we've got spines everywhere. So when you're working, harvesting these macadamias, you know, probably a really smart idea to put out some heavy duty gloves, or else you're gonna come out looking like a giant bloody rash. And then this tree is kind of it's okay, it's doing okay. It's the best spot I could plant it in the front, and I didn't want to put it over here because it would block the front door completely. So I put it off to the side, but unfortunately the community has this this Florida thatch palm right there, and the tree likes to grow off towards my left side because it's reaching for the sunlight. And so it was leaning, so I put a rope there to kind of straighten it out. And every now and then I give it a little tug, I tighten it up so I can force it to grow straight because it was growing sideways. All right, well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you spending a few minutes here on the channel looking at the information I shared with you about the Arkin Macadamia tree.